You just accepted an offer and went under contract. This is so exciting, isn't it? Don't get too excited just yet. We have to go through the contingency timeframes. At this time, there are contingencies in place. The timeframes will depend on what was initially agreed upon in the original contract. There are inspection, repairs, appraisal, and the final loan approval. Now, the buyer will have their inspections done on the property, securing their loan with the contract in place, triggering the lender to order the appraisal. The inspection portion typically takes anywhere between 7 to 10 days. In some cases, when you're dealing with a very desirable home with multiple offers, we can negotiate there to be no contingencies. But it's not quite as common as it was a couple of years ago. After having inspections done and reviewing the reports, this is typically when the buyer would be asking for repairs to be made, or they could possibly be asking for credit, money, for the things that they did find during the inspections. If the buyer makes a repair or monetary request, but then the seller and buyer cannot come to an agreement on who pays for what and how much, the buyer can choose to back out of the contract. There are some cases when a buyer's financing will fall through as well. This can happen for a few different reasons. Some new debt hits the buyer's credit, buyer loses their job, interest rates go up and their affordability goes down. These things happen, especially in a shifting market and economy like we've seen in 2023. If for some reason they're not able to qualify for the loan, the buyer has the right to back out of the contract. This contingency typically runs through day 20, 25 of the contract after the appraisal report is received. Now, remember that appraisal report the lender was ordering? That should be back by week 3 of being under contract or pending. The appraisal report is what determines the market value of the home. It's also the dollar amount the lender will loan to the buyer. If for some reason the home does not appraise for the contract price, there are a few options. The seller can agree to lower the contract price to the appraised value. The buyer can make the difference up in cash at closing, or the buyer and the seller can split the difference or come to some sort of in-the-middle agreement to move forward. If the seller and buyer cannot come to an agreement, should the appraisal come in low, the buyer does have the opportunity to walk away from the contract. Unless you countered out any of these contingencies and they're not part of the original contract or counter, the buyer does have the right to back out of the contract. This is why it's essential to hire an agent like myself who knows how important it is to properly vet buyers and their offer. Someone who knows the right questions to ask and has the right conversations with the agent and the lender prior to even accepting an offer. The buyer's earnest money or good faith money is only at risk if they officially removed their contingencies in the original contract. So I always advise my clients not to start packing their bags until all the contingencies have been removed, usually about 3 weeks after the contract is executed. So be sure to get those contingencies removed as soon as possible and make sure you're staying within the contractual timeframes. Well, now that that's all over, you can have some relief and have more assurance that the home sale will actually go through. Congratulations, you should be moving soon. As always, reach out with any questions you may have. Happy to help any way that I can. Have a great day. Can you guys not